I see this post get floating around on the internet all the time, and they say that parenting is only hard for parents that are present, like parents that are doing a good job. So here's the truth. Not everything our parents did was wrong. Welcome to the kitchen table, where we laugh, cry, and spill all the tea while diving deep into stories that shape who we are. I'm Paige, a single Black mother, storyteller, and someone who's been on a lifelong journey of healing and growth. This podcast is a safe space for truth-telling, healing, and connection. Here, we'll explore how trauma and resilience have shaped my life and yours, and how we find joy and strength along the way. Before we dive in, I just want to check in with you. Life is a lot right now. The days are heavy, the headlines are loud, and sometimes it feels like the ground is shifting beneath us. So wherever you are, take a moment with me, unclench your jaw, drop those shoulders, and let's take a deep breath. Inhale, exhale. You're here, you made it to this moment, and that matters. However you're feeling, exhausted, numb, hopeful, unsure, you're not alone. And let's hold space for that together today. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different, but let me start off by saying I missed y'all real bad. In my last episode, I let y'all know that there was going to be a brief intermission before we got into episode 6, and that was to leave space for a lot of life to happen. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Your girl got a job, okay? I am officially employed again. I let go of saying that I was unemployed or not a working mom or just a regular stay-at-home mom, because if you've ever done any kind of creative work, then you know that the work actually never stops. Like, you're always pushing that out. And this year, I've really leaned into the fact that I am a creative. And it was hard for me to attach myself to that title because I just feel like I wasn't doing enough, or what I was doing didn't measure up to other people. But I'm a creative. And so even though I was let go from my job in January, I never stopped working. I never stopped putting out content. I never stopped creating. I never stopped coming up with new ideas and putting those projects down onto paper. But I have officially accepted a position with a new organization, and I am on my 4th week this week. And so it's been a lot. And I wanted to make sure that I had enough mental space, enough emotional capacity, and just everything that I needed to get started. I honestly went like almost 3 months without getting any interview request or even emails asking to learn more about me. It was all rejection for those first few months, and I'm not used to rejection, so it was hard for me. But then it came to a point where I had 3 different offers at the same time, and I was put in a position where I actually had to make a choice. And I'm so glad that it shook out that way and that it took as much time as it did, because I was able to sit back and think about what it is that I wanted for myself right now, what it is that I wanted for myself a year from now, what benefits I really needed to lean into, and just looking at the season of my life. Like, Harlem is getting ready to start pre-K in the fall. And so, what do I need that's going to make my life easier and more feasible for me to have a regular 9 to 5 job? And so I got to sit down and just look at everything that I needed to look at kind of from a distance before making that decision. And I'm super happy with the decision that I made. My boss and I were vibing already. Like, I'm excited for this new chapter, and it leaves enough time and flexibility for me to still do my creative work and still connect with that side of who I am, while also putting me in a position to grow in this side of my career. And my apologies for taking much longer than I intended to, but it was important that I took the time. But we're here now, we're locked in. I'm so happy that you're tuning in. I'm so happy that y'all checked in with me while you were waiting. That means more to me than you will ever know. But let's go ahead and get into it. So, I asked y'all to send in some questions that you had for my next episode, and I'm super grateful for the people who did. So, today we're going to dive into some of those questions. One of them is about burnout and fatigue, and the other one is how we deal with the guilt that comes from repeating the very parenting patterns that we promised ourselves that we would break. So, this one's real, it's raw, and if you've been feeling heavy, girl, so have I. Let's get into it. Go ahead and grab your favorite mug, teacup, whatever it is that you like to sip from, because it's time for What's the Tea. If you're new here, you know that this is the part of the show where we pour it all out: life lessons, personal stories, and maybe even a little side eye worthy drama. So let's settle in, get real, because here's what's brewing today. All right, our first question from our listener is: how do you deal with burnout and fatigue? That's such a real question, honestly. And the truth, I don't always handle it well. Some days I push through and I tell myself, like, girl, you'll rest later. And other days my body forces me to slow down. And that's when I know that I've gone too far. For me, burnout shows up quietly, though. I don't always notice it right away. And it might start out with me snapping more than usual, like being short tempered or forgetful. That's a really big one for me. Feeling numb in moments that I should feel either joy or like immense sadness. And then I realize, like, you're just exhausted, not physically, not just emotionally, but mentally, spiritually. It's all of it combined. Once I start to feel all those things at the same time, that's when I know that I'm burnt out. But what I've learned is that burnout doesn't always mean that you're doing too much. Sometimes it just means that you're doing too little of what actually fills you up. So when I notice the signs, I'll check in with myself and ask, when's the last time that you've rested without guilt? When's the last time that I did something just for me without a deadline or an expectation attached? One thing about me is that I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I've lived the majority of my life based on the expectations of others. And so, not doing the things that I know fill me up or the things that I want to do for myself, but what I'm expected to do. And this is no shade for the people in my life, because this is something that I feel that I was conditioned to do through childhood. And it's just something that I brought through my adulthood, and it's a really hard habit to break. And so when I have spent so much time doing things out of the expectations or the approval of others, I tend to get burnout. And so those very people that I'm trying to please, when I start snapping on them, I know that something is wrong, because that's not part of my normal character. So here are just a few things that have helped me work through that, not only in my past, but in my present. So this is real to me right now. So setting real boundaries, even if it's just saying no to one thing a week. For some people, that's a really hard thing to do. If you grew up or if you spent the majority of your adulthood even being a yes man, then coaching yourself to say no is difficult, but it's possible. Letting go of the pressure to perform. This one is actually really big for me. Being in my 30s, I'm in my era of leaning into just allowing myself to just be me. And when I say that, I mean whoever I am in that present moment. And sometimes I show up in different places in different ways. I'm big on adapting to my environment. So allowing myself just to be who I am in that moment, in that environment, is really important for me. And it helps me rein that people pleasing side of me back in. The little things. So it's really the little things for me. And this is a huge tool that you can use in big ways. So if you're into music, lean into that. Make yourself a playlist, journaling, meditation, all those types of things. Recenter yourself, get back to who you are. Stepping outside for a few minutes. I love to go outside if it's not too buggy, because your girl doesn't do bugs, but I love to go outside, put my feet in the grass, go touch some grass, reconnect with the earth. Take a deep breath outside, stand in the sunshine, get that vitamin D, because it's a good reminder that you are allowed to pause. When you stand outside and you're in the sun, the world is happening around you. Close your eyes, listen to all those sounds. Just because you're stressed doesn't mean that the world around you stops, right? The birds still chirp and they still fly. The bugs are still doing their thing. The grass still grows. The trees still sway in the wind. I love to go outside and just take a moment and take it all in, because it reminds me that life is still moving. There's life in everything. And sometimes it's asking for help. And that part is probably the most difficult for me. But I'm learning that I don't have to carry everything alone, and everything doesn't deserve space on my shoulders either. Burnout is your body and spirit asking for care, and fatigue is your soul whispering that it needs to be held. And I'm trying to listen better these days. And even if the world is still moving fast around me, I can still check in with myself and recenter myself and get back to a space that I need to be in. Rest isn't a reward, it's a right. And we've been conditioned to believe otherwise. But if you don't hear it from anyone else, take a break, take a deep breath, get back to where you need to be, Everything else continues to move even while you're taking a break. Our next question comes from one of my listeners from Threads, and she says, "There's many things that I saw from my parents, and I said I'd raise my family differently. Then in the moment, I see those ways sneak up in my parenting and I feel guilt. Have you ever dealt with this, and how do you manage it?" First of all, girl, yes, I've absolutely felt this. It's something that I navigate literally every day. I always said that I parent differently than my mom, and I meant it. But what I didn't really understand until after losing my mom was why she did the things that she did. It's so easy to criticize the way that our parents raised us, especially when we're in the thick of it. And it took me losing my mom to reevaluate a lot of the ways that I grew up and a lot of the things that my mom did and the decisions that she made. I had to look at it from a different perspective. And unfortunately for me, that came with loss and grief. But it did show me that she was doing the best that she could with what she had. And honestly, that realization softened a lot of things for me. But when that guilt creeps in, I can hear myself like saying something in a tone I swore I'd never use. "Oh, I'm going to be a soft and a gentle parent." And then I start reacting and I hear myself and I'm like, I sound just like Karen. That happens to me all the time. I pause and I give myself grace because even though I feel guilty in that moment, it doesn't mean I'm failing. It doesn't mean that I'm doing a bad job. It means that I care. And if it's one thing that I know, especially after losing my mom, is that my mom cared. So all those times as a teenager where I slammed the door or I was crying and writing my diary like she doesn't care about me, she hates me, I was wrong. And my mom was doing all of those things because she cared about me. Caring is a sign that I'm already showing up differently. And so the fact that I've even allow myself to feel guilty lets me know that I'm doing a good job and that I'm a good mom because I see this post get floating around on the internet all the time and they say that parenting is only hard for parents that are present, like parents that are doing a good job. So here's the truth. Not everything our parents did was wrong. Some of those things that felt so hard growing up were actually acts of love and it just wasn't in the language that we needed at the time. There are still patterns that need to be broken and a lot of cycles that don't and should not get to continue with us. But what makes you a good parent isn't perfection, it's awareness. It's being able to recognize when something isn't right and choosing to respond differently next time. And that's something that I lean in when it comes to the way that I parent my daughter. I'll give a quick example. My mom yelled a lot. And it wasn't because my mom was mean or strict, because honestly, as the last child in the house, I don't think my mom was very strict with me at all. But she did yell a lot. I always feel guilty at the end of the day and after Harlem has gone to sleep, and I'm like, man, I yelled a lot today, or I really raised my voice a lot today. And then the negative talk starts running through my head like, oh, I was too stern with her. I was too strict with her today. Like, I didn't bring enough joy to her day. And I just start feeling guilty and really bad about it. And then I think about what actually causes me to yell, what triggers me to be stern or to be strict or to have to raise my voice. And then I realize I'm touched out and overstimulated. My mom had 6 kids, all pretty close in age, in the house at the same time. I have one. I can only imagine how touched out my mom was. I can only imagine how overstimulated she must have been when all of your kids are asking you all these questions and this one's asking for a snack and these two are fighting over here. I've got one and I get overstimulated and rather quickly, might I add. And when I think about, oh, my mom yelled at me all the time, like she was too hard on me, we can never have a normal conversation. Like, ma'am, I'm sorry for overstimulating you for that many years in a row. And like, never actually apologize for it. I'm sorry that all the times that you asked me to stop touching you or to get off or to give you some space, I thought it was funny and you really actually liked when I touched you. And so I would just rest my little head in the crevice of your neck and your shoulder all the time. I love Harlem, but she's just like me. And I know how I was as a kid. I was annoying as hell. And my kid annoys me sometimes. I'm just going to say it. Like sometimes she gets on my damn nerves. Stop touching me. I don't want to be touched right now. But kids don't know that, right? And me yelling at her for or getting upset with her, I'm trying to assert what I need, but not in a language that she understands. But I don't spend time or I don't allow myself to spend a whole lot of time for making myself feel bad for telling my 4-year old what I need? Do I need to get better about speaking her language? Yes. Is she still learning me? Yes, but at the same time, I'm still learning her. The thing about our kids is no matter how young they are, like they already have personalities. And a lot of what we do is going to continue to shape that, but they're already human right now. They're already people right now. She is her own person, her own personality that is thriving. So just as much as I'm learning her, she's also learning me. And you just have to give yourself grace in those moments. Like I refuse to let myself sit in a place where I feel bad for how the day went. As long as I have the time to reflect and assess what went wrong with my day, then I can wake up tomorrow and try a different approach. And all kids aren't the same, right? So all of our approaches are not going to work all the time. Like I can't give you a textbook and tell you how to parent your child and how to not feel guilty about your parenting. But what I can tell you is that just give yourself grace and be patient with yourself. Because if you're anything like me or you relate to anything that I've said on this podcast, you're healing too. And healing isn't linear, and neither is parenting. And what matters the most is that we keep choosing to try again. If you're feeling guilty, you're probably already doing better than you think. Keep showing up, keep learning, keep loving your babies the best way you know how, and know that healing while parenting is one of the hardest and bravest things we can ever do. So, here are a few takeaways. Burnout makes us more reactive. Take care of yourself. Guilt makes us feel smaller. Stop allowing yourself to shrink. In those low moments, you can still choose differently, and that choice is loud. Living loud when you feel small means taking one intentional breath, one pause, one reset, even when you're tired. Now it's time for At the Table, where we highlight someone or something that inspires us. This week, I'm not highlighting a specific person, but a powerful collective. Mothers. Mothers, I love you in whatever capacity of a mother that you are, whether you've birthed a child, you've lost a child, whether you are a foster parent or a caregiver, in what other way you take care of others, I honor you. I'm holding space for you. You're seen, you are valued, and you're doing truly sacred work. If no one has told you lately, you're doing an amazing job. Keep your head up, give yourself grace, take the time that you need to heal. I love you, and this episode truly is for you. Now, I want to introduce something that I'm calling Table Reads. So, Table Reads is going to be a space where I talk about whatever book is keeping me company right now. And I'll just say, I have always been an avid reader, but life started happening somewhere along the way, and I started reading less and less. So last year, I actually challenged myself to read one book a month, and I was super excited about it. It's really hard to find time to read as a parent, especially as a parent to a young child, a toddler, to be specific. Whenever you pick up an adult book, your little kid is always, read this book instead. Harlem is famous for that. She will hand me a board book when I'm trying to read myself. But I decided last year that I wanted to read more. I feel like just so many good things happen when you start reading again, right? Like your creativity is boosted, your vocabulary is boosted, you have more things to talk about. Like reading just brings me so much joy, and I love getting lost in a good book. And I actually was inspired to start reading by my friend's podcast. And once I read that first book and we recorded that episode, I was like, yeah, I'm challenging myself. I want to read a different book each month. One of the tools that I used to help me with this was audiobooks. I've never been an audiobook girl. It's always been so hard for me to focus on audiobooks, but becoming a mom really will change you. And I started listening to my audiobooks in the car. Harlem's got her tablet in the back seat, or she's listening to music, so I'm listening to my book in my AirPod, or when I'm cleaning or when I'm cooking. And so I found myself reaching like book 10 within the 7th month, and I was like, "Oh, I can totally do this." So between the books that I already have and taking Harlem to the library and checking out at least one book for me, and then getting recommendations from all of the reading communities on the internet. Shout out to those Black Girl book clubs because y'all really be spilling the tea. But using all these tools, I have been reading so much more, and it's giving me so much joy. And I want to share that part of my joy with you. And so I want to introduce the first segment of Table Reads. I am reading Good Dirt by Charmaine Wilkerson. I'm not that far in, but she's the same author that wrote Black Cake, I believe. And I didn't read Black Cake, but I know that was like trending and super viral for a while. But yes. This book is doing some digging of its own. It's all about the things that we bury, stories, truths, parts of ourselves, and what happens when they finally come to the surface. And it really hits home for me, especially in this season of my life where the old me keeps trying to creep back in. And that's in multiple different ways, right? Like my perfectionism, my people pleasing, and getting so wrapped up into living for the expectations of others. I've been burying so many things, and part of the reason why I started this podcast was to dig a lot of those things up. So this book is super timely, and I can't wait to finish and report back. What I'm loving about this book so far is that reminds me that growth doesn't always start pretty, and sometimes it's messy, and it comes with a lot of memories that aren't pretty memories, the roots of being disturbed. But even then, there's still so much room to bloom. So if you've read it or if you pick it up after this, let me know what stays with you. I'd love to hear how it sits at your table. I want to thank you for joining me today on episode 6. I'm so happy that we got to reconnect, and I'd love to hear from you, especially after this episode. How are you managing your energy? What patterns have you caught yourself repeating? And what does living loud look like in your real life? I'd love for you to shoot me an email or a message on Instagram, or just comment on this episode wherever you're watching it, and let's keep this conversation going. There's so much happening in my life right now, and there's so much that I can't wait to continue to share with you. I'm just growing and being present in the moment. If this episode has resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, or send it to someone who might need to hear that they're not failing, they're just human. It's really nice to get those reminders sometimes, even if it's something that you should already know. You can email me at thektablepodcast@gmail.com or connect with me on Instagram at pagegalloway_. Thank you for being here and trusting me with your time. Can't wait to continue growing with you, laughing with you, and healing with you. Keep showing up, and remember, the table is always open and there's always